All right, I want to take y'all through dicing an onion, julienning an onion, and doing something I call a half julienne, which may or may not be an official cut, but it's one that I use a lot. They all start the same way. You're going to cut a little bit off the top of the onion, a handy little compost container here, a little bit off the root end, a little bit, it's like, something like that. And then I like to have the root end facing up. The root end, if you lose track, is the one with a little yellow circle on it. Cut the yellow circle right in half. And then this is a great place to just grab a corner, like I just did, and pull the peel off of the onion. Kind of the easiest way to do it that I've found. Find your corner, peel it off. Then from here, you may have seen cooks. You're going to make to make a dice. You are going to make guiding cuts into the onion and cut almost all the way in, but you're not going to cut through the root end. You may have seen cooks do that by making horizontal guiding cuts, kind of like this, going in, going in, going in. You can totally do that. So you've got some horizontal guiding cuts here. But another way that I found to do it, which feels a little bit safer, is just to stand it on its root end. So the root end is down, the yellow half circle is down, and cut, starting from the rounded part here, cut just almost all the way down. Almost all the way down. Almost all the way down. It achieves the same thing, but you're not kind of like fighting through the onion and halfway expecting to lodge the knife into your hand while you do that. And then you're going to make some other guiding cuts that kind of follow the curve of the onion. This is how you get something square out of something round, is to make guiding cuts that kind of follow the curve. So I'm actually going to switch sides here so you can see. Again, not cutting all the way through to the root end. I'm just going to make some cuts that follow the curve of the onion. So the tip of my knife here starts where the other guiding cuts ended. So you're keeping this kind of hunk of the root end intact, and that holds the onion all together until the very end, when you cut across your guiding cuts to make the dices. You'll always have these little bits that fall off of the onion. Just let them fall off and put them to the side. You can chop those down later. So if you've done your job fairly well, and again, this is for home cooking, so if it's not perfect, who cares? But if you find yourself needing to dice an onion, this will work pretty well. If you've done your job pretty well, you can cut across the guiding cuts until they stop. So stop where the guiding cuts stop. And there, right? Kind of a nice little collection of mostly cubes. And then you can put your root end over here with your little scraps that fell off, and then just kind of cut them down. Basically until you can hide them in the nice things. And then you've got diced onion. So again, horizontal guiding cuts in, then radial guiding cuts kind of around the radius of the onion. And make all of your cuts about as thick as you want your finished product to be. So if you're going for 1/2 inch, make all your cuts 1/2 inch thick. And then across. Man, if I can help people do one thing in life, it's cutting onions more smoothly, because they're going to go in so many things that you're going to cook. So if you can get smoother and more comfortable cutting onions, then your whole life in the kitchen is going to be easier. Again, it's just getting to that place where cooking is less of a chore and more something that's enjoyable, which I really think is a lot about getting prep to go smoother. I've got a bowl for my all my cut onions. I like to work, I don't even know if you can see this. Kind of like to work with gravity. So I put the bowl underneath the cutting board and then just kind of scoop it all off, especially if you have a lot of stuff that you're loading up your cutting board with and needing to get it off. Rather than scooping it up and into a bowl, just bring the bowl underneath. Again, makes your life a little bit easier. Alright, back on the board. Sweet. Okay, so that's actually the more fussy of the three cuts that I want to show you. The next one is probably the least. So I've got a half onion here. I prepped it the same way, a little bit off the bottom, a little bit off the top, peeled it. Then I'm literally just going to make radial slices all the way through the onion, so we're not keeping the root end intact this time, just all the way around the onion. And the trick here is once you get to like around here on the onion, it's a little bit squirrely, so the trick here is just to put it over on its side and start over again. And then you can separate them, and this is called a julienne. Named after a very famous onion monger in France named Julien. That's not true. All right, so that's julienne onions. Useful for many things. You can pickle them, put them in salads. You can cook them down into caramelized onions. You're making French onion soup. You can do almost anything with them. So these last couple of onions that we've got, I'm going to show you my favorite cut, which is the half julienne. If you may have guessed by now, it's a julienne, but cut in half. Ahaha. So we're going to prep and peel both of these onions the exact same way. And then just cut the onion in half widthwise once first, and then julienne as per usual. You'll end up with just, this, but cut in half, a little bit smaller. Half juliennes go super fast, and I think it's a great cut for just, you want to get your onion cut down and kind of move on with your life. You're making soups, you're sauteing the onions to go into some vegetables, you're doing stir fry, almost anything that you use an onion for. Same thing, once you get towards the end, move it over on its side, start again, and then wash, rinse, repeat. Onions. Alright, next we're going to do some potatoes.